Geometry 8-2, right?
Yeah.
All right, who had a question with 8-2? Go.
Can you do what?
Right here?
No, the word problem.
Oh, the word problem, sorry. So it says, construction workers are building a marble sidewalk around the park. It is shaped like a right triangle. Each marble slab adds 2 feet to the length of the sidewalk. The workers find that exactly 1071 and 1840 slabs are required to make the sidewalk along the short sides of the park. How many slabs are required to make the sidewalk that run along the side of the park? So I'm assuming it says it's a right triangle, right? Mm-hmm. So don't we just have to figure out what they're talking about, right? So the workers find that exactly 1071 and 1840 slabs are required to make the sidewalks along the short sides. So I'm looking at this thinking this is 1840 and this is 1071, right? But each slab is what?
Each slab, does each slab add 2 feet?
Right. So we're not.
No.
How many slabs? Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of a trick question because we're not. It doesn't say how many feet. You with me?
Yeah.
It just says how many slabs. So you don't really have to multiply by 2. If you do multiply by 2, your answer then you're gonna have to do what? Divide by 2. Does that make sense? Now, did that work out exactly?
Yeah, 221.
221.
No, sorry, 2,129.
Oh, is there no like easier way to do that?
I'm not sure if they 1840 and 1071. It might break down to a right, but in that case, the numbers are big.
Multiply them out and it was like 5 mil or like 4,000,005.
No, on your calculator, you would just do literally. You type in the square root and then do 1840 squared plus 1071 squared. Shh. All right. Anybody have any other questions with that? All right. I figured last night it should be pretty easy. Anybody have any questions? All right.
I have
one more. Good.
17 on 8-2 right there. Yep, right there. Okay. So it's 11 and 10, but if you do 10 times 10, not 10 times 10. If you do 11 times 11 minus 10 times 10, you get 21.
Exactly.
That's not right, is it?
Square root of 21. That's what you forgot.
Okay.
You with me?
Okay. We were just supposed to do all of 8-2 and all of 8-3.
We kind of did the well, I haven't done 8-3 yet. We're doing 8-3 today.
Okay. Just yesterday when I checked the homework, it said 8-2, 8-3, so that's why I was confused.
Okay. All right. You good now?
Yeah.
All right. So now today we have something that's on every SAT test. It's on every standardized test. These are called special right triangles. All right. The reason why they're called special right triangles is because there's a relationship between all of the sides. All right. Now, what I want to do is, which I just really would like you to just watch. All right. So just kind of pay attention. I'm going to go through why the formula is the way it is, and you can see that's super easy. All right. Everybody look up. All right. What I want to do is I want you to, we're going to try to draw a square. All right. And then I'm going to draw the diagonal. All right. So that base angles are going to be 45 degrees, 45 degrees, and 9 degrees. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. Please watch. It's super easy. Super easy. All right. Now, the side of the square is x. This side is x. And this is the unknown side, which is c. Everybody agree with that? Now we're going to do the Pythagorean Theorem to solve for c. So watch. X squared plus x squared equals c squared. Does everybody agree with that? 2x squared equals c squared. Does everybody agree with that? So c is equal to the square root of 2x squared. Does everybody agree with that? So c is always the leg times the square root of 2. Does everybody agree with that? What's the square root of x squared? X. Technically, it's the absolute value of x, but since we're dealing with distance, it's going to be positive. Do I agree with that? Now, again, so what I'm trying to tell you, that regardless of what the leg is, the hypotenuse is always the leg times the square root of 2. If you don't know that, you're just always going to do what? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Does that make sense? All right. So if you forget the rule, you would just have to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And when you do it, it'll always reduce down to the leg times the square root of 2. Always. All right, so give me one more minute. Now, so in this case right here, what is the other leg? No, 8. What is the hypotenuse?
So 8 times 8 square root of 2.
8 radical 2. There's nothing involved. There's no work involved in this. No work at all.
That's just your answer?
That's your answer. That's how simple. All right, now let me explain something else that I try to tell kids. Your hypotenuse is larger, correct, than your legs?
Yes.
So I always try to tell kids, if you're getting bigger, you're going to multiply by the square root of 2. If you're getting smaller, you're going to do what?
Divide.
That's how simple it is. Listen to what I just said. If you're finding the hypotenuse, you multiply by radical 2. If you're finding the leg, you would do what? Divide by radical 2. And I try to tell kids to remember that. If you're getting bigger, you multiply. If you're getting smaller, you what? Divide. Very, very, very simple. Very simple. So let's take a look at number 2. Let's see if you're paying attention. So the leg would be what? 3. Again, I told you it's a very easy lesson.
Just
All right. So the hypotenuse is what?
4 radical 2.
4 radical 2. Very good. Number 4. Uh-oh. Now, listen to me. Now you've got to do a little bit of algebra.
Oh, no, because
You divide by radical 2. Listen up. I'm going from a hypotenuse to a leg, so I do what? Divide by radical 2. So I'm going to show you. 18 divided by radical 2.
You can't have that on the
You can't have that.
Oh, so 18 radical 2 over 2. And then 9.
And eventually you'll see the pattern on that as well. But again, I don't want you to memorize the pattern on that. Right? Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Good.
I thought it would be 3 because this isn't 18.
No, because it's not under a radical. I know what you're thinking. If I was saying this, then you'd be right. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at number 5. So number 5 would be 16 over radical 2. And when we do that, 16 radical 2 over 2.
8 radical 2.
And then eventually some of you will just figure that out.
Can't you just say that?
Yes, you're going to do that on your own. You're going to do that on your own. I don't want you doing that. All right? But some of you guys have good minds like that.
Choose number 2.
How do I do number which one?
2. How do you know it's 3?
Divide by radical 2.
Oh, that's it? Oh, sorry.
All right, here we go. Number 6. So number 6 is what?
24.
24. Okay? So if the hypotenuse is 12, the leg would be 6 radical 2. For those of you guys who are a little slower, you just do 12 divided by radical 2 and then rationalize. But again, I'm hoping you can see the pattern eventually. You have any issues with that?
Not on that one, but on number 6, why can't we break it? It's 24 radical 2, but why can't we break it down? Like, why can't we? 24 can be broken down.
No, because 24 is not inside the radical. Isn't that right, William? You see what he's asking the same question.
He asked about 18.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm not, yes, obviously. I was just saying that's the same question for him. All right. Same principle. If it was radical 24, you would be okay. You would break it down again. All right. So now, the hypotenuse is 25. Now what would it be?
12.5.
Yeah, but most of the time we write it as 25 radical 2 over 2, which is the same as, I'm not arguing, 12.5 radical 2.
But you want it as a fraction?
Yeah, we generally write as fractions. All right. Okay, the length of the hypotenuse. If the leg is 14, so it would be
7 radical 2.
14.
No, the length is
Yeah.
14.
Gotta be careful. That's all. So does everybody agree with me? Super easy formula. Super easy formula. And I tell kids all the time, even if you forget the formula, you can derive it really easily. All right, quick.
Okay, so can you go back to number 1?
Come on.
Okay, so it's just a question. So if the other angles are both 45, and 45 plus 45 is 90, and you add those up, and then you see the right angle, that's 90. Why can't you say that then the hypotenuse would be 16?
Because, again, they realized that cutting an angle in half doesn't cut the side in half. All right, it has nothing to do with it, believe it or not. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it on like 8? It was 25, like the hypotenuse was 25, so 12.5 and 12.5, and that makes perfect sense because it's like half of them. But then on number 1, all of them were 8. Why was the 2 legs not 4?
So here's what I want you to remember. If I'm going from a leg to a hypotenuse, you multiply by radical 2.
Okay.
If I'm going the other direction, I what? Divide by radical 2.
Okay, that's weird. Okay.
You with me? Now, again, I'm trying to show you something. The reason why it's not weird is for this reason. This is why I think this is important for you to understand. This part that we did at the beginning of class. That is supposed to be your understanding of what I'm doing. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to show you in this position right here is I'm trying to show you that the hypotenuse is always the leg times the square root of 2. So if I wanted to find the leg, it's the hypotenuse what? This is something I think is easy, and for those of you guys who want to be great at math, you should want to understand that. Right? For those of you guys who are just doing the math problems, this doesn't matter. Right? You just memorize things that I say. If you want to be good at math, it's not somebody who's just woke up one day and said the hypotenuse is always the leg times square root of 2. So you understand what I'm trying to show you? This is kind of the theory. Why does that work? Some of you ask me those questions. I'm showing you why it works. Just like I'm going to show you now why a 30, 60, 90 triangle is considered a special right triangle also. So please pay attention. All right? This is the important part. All right? So, the next, we're going to study 30, 60, 90 triangles. All right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a page because I want to demonstrate it. All right. So here we go. I'm going to create a 30, 60, 90 triangle. All right. So in order to construct a 30, 60, 90 triangle, what they did first was they constructed an equilateral triangle. All right. Now, the reason why they did that is because all of these angles are now exactly what?
680.
And all of these sides are exactly the same. Please watch and see how simple this concept is. And I'm telling you, it's on every standardized test. All the SATs, all the ACTs, very simple process. All right? Now, what I'm going to do next is I am going to construct the altitude. When I construct the altitude, what happens to...
Get your right angle.
It's bisected.
30.
There you go. That's 90, and this automatically becomes 30. All right. Now, that is a what? 30, 60, 90 triangle. So, this side down here in terms of x, this distance from here to here, somebody tell me what that is.
Half of x, radical x, 1/2 x.
X over 2, or 1/2 x. 1/2 x is okay, but I would prefer you say x over 2. So bear with me. Now, what you're doing now is you're trying to just keep your eyes focused on this 30, 60, 90 triangle. Is everybody hearing me? So now, opposite the 30 is always what?
30.
Half the hypotenuse. Listen to what I just said. Come on. You need to hear this. Opposite the 30-degree angle is always what? Half the hypotenuse. Opposite the 30 is half the hypotenuse.
And that's the short.
And if you don't know those rules, you should be able to recreate it. Like I said, there's some of you guys who want to be good at math, and there's some of you guys who just want to do math. The guys who want to be good at math are understanding what I'm doing. All right, those of you guys who just want to do math, you're just following the pattern. That's all. Now, I am missing, I promise you I'm going to clean it up good. I am missing B, the other leg. Is everybody with me? Put your hands down. It's going to make perfectly good sense. Now, I'm going to solve for B. Okay? So to solve for B, I know that it is x over 2 squared plus b squared equals x squared. Do you have any issues with that?
Yeah.
Why
are you doing?
That's a Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's a right triangle. I'm doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I don't know what b is, but I know it's related to x. I'm trying to figure out what the relationship is between b and x. Are you hearing me now? All right. So now let's do the algebra. So if I do the algebra, stay with me. X squared over 4 plus b squared equals x squared. Do I have any issues with that? All right. Now, before you just say what, all right, I really would like you to think about what I'm doing next. All right. So b squared is equal to 3x squared over 4. Now, this is a what? 1x squared. I'm subtracting 1/4 x squared. I'm left with 3/4 x squared. Come on now, that's the hard part. All right, so that's where I'm trying to show you now. This fraction, x squared over 4, I would like for you to know that as just what? 1/4 x squared. You should be able to say that. You should know that. This is what? 1x squared. So if I say 1x squared minus 1/4 x squared, you should be able to tell me it is 3/4 x squared. Any objections to that? Right? Easy. So now I just take the square root of both sides. All right? So when I take the square root of both sides, I get b is equal to the square root of 3/4 x squared. Do I know what the square root of 3 is?
X.
No.
Radical 3/4 x squared.
Square root of x squared.
Oh, 2x.
No, you're right. X. Square root of 4. 2. Look up, please, and make sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to do that on the test. Like I said, this is for the people who want to be good at math. All right? Because those of you guys, like I said, who are just doing math, you're just going to memorize the pattern. All right? So the leg opposite the 60 is always half the hypotenuse times square root of 3. So you need to say that to yourself a couple times. Opposite the 60 is always half the hypotenuse times radical 3. Or, very smart, you can just say, to go from the 30 to the 60, I just multiply by radical 3. Listen to what I'm saying now. All right, because we can do these problems in 5 minutes. This is x over 2. Does everybody hear me? This over here is x over 2 radical 3. So what's the difference? From here to here, I just multiply by radical 3.
To get to the other.
So from the hypotenuse to the 30, I always divide by 2. To get from the 30 to the 60, just multiply by radical 3. That is what you're supposed to understand from here. Now, each one of you has your own little ways of doing things. Personally, I say opposite of 30 is always half the hypotenuse. To get to the 60, I just multiply the 30 times radical 3. It's really, really simple. That's the pattern. All right? This down here is the explanation of why somebody came up with that. Because I used to sit and go, man, who thought of that? How do I know that's true? Right? Well, this is nice because we can actually do what? Prove that's true. All right? So for every 45, 45, 90, there's a rule. And for every 30, 60, 90 triangles, there's a rule. All right? So now let me see if I did a good job.
How many of each one are going to be on the test?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't even made a test yet. So don't worry about it.
Is it next Friday?
Shh, shh, shh. Here we go. Let me look back where I'm at. Okay, so look at number 1. All right? So now please listen to me. This right here is opposite the 30. So the hypotenuse would be 1. Good job. Those of you guys are confident. I like that. And then y would be? Now, for us, I want you to get in the habit of writing that as square root of 3 over 2. As you get more advanced, it's not, we would say square root of 3 over 2, but understand that that is 1/2 square root of 3. What?
How do you get the hypotenuse?
Double it. So if I say the hypotenuse, or if I say opposite 30 is half the hypotenuse, then the hypotenuse is twice as big as the 30.
But that doesn't really make sense to me.
We're going on to this one right here so I can show you. I promise you. You'll get the pattern in a minute. Listen for 1 second. First thing here is I just identified the 30. Right? So hold on a minute. William, you with me? This guy is 8.
Yeah, so it's double it, but
That's right. So what's that?
um
Listen, what I want you to stop doing, listen, I'm trying to help you. I don't care about anything else. I want you to say the hypotenuse is what?
60.
That's it. And now you're confident on that. All right? 1 step at a time. Now, opposite of 60 would be what, guys?
8 over 2.
No.
No, radical 3 over 8.
Now let me explain to you what you made your mistake on. With respect to the hypotenuse, you divide by 2 and then multiply by radical 3.
Yeah.
With respect to the 30, you just multiply that by radical 3. So look what I'm showing you now. On this one over here, to go from the 30 to the 60, I just multiply by radical 3. You hear me? Or you could just say, from the hypotenuse, you divide by 2 and then multiply by radical 3. It's easier to say, hey, from the 30 to the 60, I just multiply by radical 3. All right, that's the rule. All right, so now let's look at number 3.
Can we just put 11 over 2?
11 over 2 is best. 11 over 2, and then y would be?
11 over 30.
I know what you
Oh, we
meant.
could do that?
Yes.
Oh.
That's what you're supposed to do, actually,
So
as
the
you get,
radical 3 is divided by 2 too?
not both numbers.
No, it's 11
Shh,
over.
listen.
Oh.
All you're doing is multiplying this by radical 3. You hear me?
Yeah.
The radical 3 is in the numerator. So it's 11 radical 3 over 2. Now listen to me, guys. For those of you guys going to be taking standardized tests, there's a lot of problems on your standardized test to get into your private schools dealing with radicals. That's why this is an important lesson, to review your radicals. If you don't understand what I'm saying, speak up.
Can you maybe re-explain why on number 2 it's 8 radical 3?
Because from the 30-degree side, all I do is multiply by radical 3.
For all of them?
Yes. Now up here, listen. In my example right here, guys, listen to me. To clear this up, so I don't have to say it one more time. If I'm just looking at B from the hypotenuse, I would divide it by 2 and then multiply by radical 3, correct? But when I divide it by 2, that gives me the what? 30. And then from the 30 to the 60, you just multiply by radical 3. That's all. Because I want you to see the difference here, and the difference here is just radical 3. Correct? All right. Easy stuff, I'm telling you. Simple. All right, so now let's go back to work. All right, so I'm on number 4. So x would be what, guys? 9. Good pattern. Y is 9 is
Divide by 2.
18.
Divide by radical
You're going in the reverse order. You're going in reverse order, right? You got to tell me. I said to get from the hypotenuse to the 30, you divide by 2. So to get from the 30 to the hypotenuse, you what?
3. Divide.
And I try to tell kids, remember, you're getting smaller or bigger. If you're going from the 30 to the hypotenuse, you're not going to divide by 2 because it's not getting smaller. It's getting what? It's getting bigger. That's how you can kind of put that in context to understand. You don't even have to memorize what you're doing. Are you getting bigger or are you getting smaller? That tells you if you're multiplying or dividing. Hopefully that helps. All right, so let's take a look at here. All right, now here is the hard part because I'm opposite the 60. So to get to the 30, what's the rule? Divide by radical 3. Yes, I think you're right, but let's take a look. Is everybody okay with that?
So it'd be 2 radicals.
So 12 radical 3 over 3, which is 4 radical 3.
Why can't you just take the square root?
Say it again.
Why can't you just take the square root?
It's not 12.
Why do you divide it by radical
Okay, so am I getting bigger or smaller?
3?
So I would have to what?
5.
There you go. That's how I want you to think about it. You with me now, right? I just think that's the easy way to remember it. All right, there's a radical 3 involved. Are you multiplying or dividing? If you're getting bigger, you're multiplying, you're dividing, getting smaller. Go, William, good.
So then the hypotenuse would be double.
Yes.
radical three.
Which is? That's how simple. Good job. And again, believe it or not, listen to me now. 5 is the absolute hardest problem.
So you keep it with it.
Yeah,
The radical, okay.
right. It's like 2x. If I double 2x, I get what? 4x. Right?
So the short side and the long side are equal to each other?
Who said that?
But if the short side is 4 radical 3 and the long side is 4 radical.
No,
No.
it's 12. We just did some math.
Oh,
on that.
yeah.
You're okay, don't worry.
Why can't we do the square root of, oh, because, yeah.
What?
Can you like okay, so why does when you double an angle that is 30 that it equals
You're wanting to make a relationship between an angle and a side. There is no relationship.
Okay.
You with me?
okay, but how do we know that
It just is a coincidence in this case that 30 and 60 have that relationship.
no, I mean like 30 in the hypotenuse. How do you know that the 30 angle times 2 is equal to the hypotenuse?
I don't know what you're saying, but
How do you know that 4 radical 3
times 2 is not.
times 2 is 8 radical, or is
Okay, so here's that's what we proved here. You with me? So look up here. So if I'm here, then I want to go to here. I have to times 2. If I go from here to here, I multiply by radical 3. Here to here, I divide by radical. That's all. Does that make sense now? All right, good job. Okay, so let's look at 6. Okay, guys. So y would be what?
10.
Radical 3.
Simple. So now I have an equilateral triangle. All right, which is what I started with. So determine an equilateral triangle has an altitude of 36. So if it has an altitude of 36, look right here. I'm going to go to my picture here.
So B is 30.
Yes,
the longest?
exactly.
60 is
So this is 36.
the hardest one.
Right, the hardest one. So all I have to do is take 36 and do what? Divided by radical 3. Very smart, guys. So 36 divided by radical 3 is,
12 radical 3.
should be 12 radical 3, right? And then I have to do what? So the answer, the side of the triangle is 24 radical 3.
Okay.
Come on, come on. Shh.
So when you're getting 12, all you're basically doing is doing 36 divided by normal 3.
Yeah.
which I divide
But again, that is true. But I don't tell kids that. But if you do it enough, you'll say that's what I'm doing. right? But I would prefer that you do this. 36 divided by radical 3, you're multiplying by radical 3 over radical 3, which is 36 radical 3 over 3,
Gotcha.
which is 12 radical 3.
And then why are you multiplying by 2? Oh, because you're getting the hypotenuse.
Right.
You have, it says, it never says to get the
I don't know what it said.
It
What
said
is?
find the length of the side. So
Yeah. So the side of the triangle is the actual hypotenuse.
Oh, so whenever it says on the side.
Nah, I'm not doing whatever it says. I'm saying in this example, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. So again, I drew this up here for you to make sure you understand me. Do you see what I'm saying? That's an equilateral triangle. Then if you draw the altitude, it cuts it into 30, 60, 90. The question is, what's the side of the triangle?
Yeah, but I'm saying it could have meant either side.
Right, because they're the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're saying.
No, it is like X, it could have meant for the
Yeah,
highlighted
the
triangle, it
short
could have
leg
meant
and the long
X.
leg.
Yeah, it could have meant the hypotenuse or the
I got the next.
No, but here's what I'm trying to say. I think you understand me, but I'm going to make sure. Okay, so they asked for the side of the triangle. This right here is not the side of the triangle. That's part of the side of the triangle. That's half the side of the triangle. You see what I'm saying? So we constructed a 30, 60, 90 by drawing that down there.
Okay.
But that's not the side of the triangle. That's half the side. All right, Reagan, what?
Oh no, I was.
Okay,
So
go.
why did you make it hard for yourself to have half? Why didn't you just say 7?
Hard for.
Well, because to get from here to here, it's divided by radical 3,
Yeah.
and then multiply by 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can do it the long way and
Yeah.
kind of reverse the order, but I don't recommend that. It's just easy to do it step by step. Reagan, did you say you had the answer?
Yeah.
Number 8, what is it?
30 radical 3.
Find the length of the side of an equilateral triangle if the altitude is 45.
No, it's asking for the length of the equilateral triangle.
Oh, yeah.
It says to-
Why is 15 radical 3 and then you multiply by 2?
It says find the
I
length
thought
of
the side was
this.
the hypotenuse.
It is.
What is it?
Why is it not 30?
No,
Why am I wrong?
and the short leg is
30
15
radical
radical.
3.
I got it right then.
Oh, you are. I'm done.
30 radical 3.
Bam.
Okay, so now believe it or not, guys, that is a hard lesson.
Really?
All right, personally, I don't know why, but people find that hard. Okay, so I don't know how much time we have. We got
3 minutes.
Okay, so now let me just make this clear. Hear me. If you need to practice, do the problems. Right? If you understood everything I said and you don't think you need to practice, I'm okay with that. All right, but some of you who want to make an A need to do the practice. Then ask me on Monday if they're correct, or Monday morning. All right? But again, you're making decisions. All right? If you need to practice, do it. It's not that hard. All right? It's really not.
Number 2.
Yeah. This one right here?
I just want to see it.
This is 45 radical 2 over 2. Is that correct?
I think. Why is it radical 2?
Because to get from the hypotenuse to the leg, we divide by radical 2.
Oh yeah.
So 45.
Oh yeah. This is.
60,
Oh, that's not the
30 divided by 3.
36.
That's not the 36.
No, that's 45.
Oh.
Yeah, you notice the number, 45. That's why they call it a 45, 45.
What are the negatives on the relationship?
What?
Like, scroll up to like the word problems that we were doing earlier. Or not like those ones.
Oh, that just
What is
means.
this negative?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where?
no, I think it's one.
No, I know. I think those are just dashes.
Yeah, it's saying there's some.
Oh,
That's right.
Do the odds.
What was number 8? What was the answer?
That's one plus.
30.
There were-
She said something word
30 radical 30. I want to do 30 radical 30.
Yeah. How did I got?